Okay.
So yes, I would like to welcome all of you and Angela Million and me. My name is Bürgow. We are very happy that we finally managed to be part of this big conference, which would be normally in Hanoi. So we would be sitting in Hanoi if there wouldn't be that strange virus around us. But happily, we have the right techniques to meet here. Angela and me are working at the TU Berlin. Angela is a professor of urban design at the Institute of Regional Planning. And I'm actually associated to her chair of urban design. And we both work, on, we would call it on circular city strategies, especially on one side with water farming system, but also with, let's say, neighborhood designs, which try to integrate these new techniques and technologies into, the daily life of the city. So we also research how these new blue-green infrastructures, for example, could become part of daily life in the city. And I think that will be one question we want to discuss today with you. How you see your projects in the future. How can they become part of a citizen-driven process? So that would be very interesting to discuss with you after hearing all the talks. I prepared a little presentation just to show you the broad range of topics we will hear about today. And so I start to screen share now. Here. I hope you can see it. So, our topic will be, like you of course already know, on circular design build strategies and citizen-driven urban water and food systems. And like I said, normally we would be here in Hanoi, but instead Angela and me, we are sitting in Berlin. So 16 hours or almost 17 hours flight time far away from Hanoi.
Mm-hmm. You have to enlarge the images, the slides. They're only showing very small.
Oh, that's strange, because on my screen it's actually full screen. Mm-hmm. That's strange. So how maybe I have to go back.
Maybe you have the Referentenansicht.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, change the presentation.
Not the referent, no. Unfortunately not. But I try to. Do you see it in a larger screen? Mm-mm. Do you see the larger screen?
No.
That's strange. because on my screen it's large.
Maybe go back to the original ones, which is not the presentation mode.
Okay.
Yeah, and just go through this very unusual way. But I know there are other programs that give the trouble to see.
Okay, so do you see it here?
Yeah, because now we see it bigger.
Okay. Yeah. So here again, I just want to show you the broad range of topics we will hear about today. And like I said, Angela and me, we are in Berlin, and you can check out our projects. I just put in some websites here, website links, which connect to this to the research topic of citizen-driven blue-green infrastructures. So check out our roof water farm project and the latest one, which is on mobile blue-green infrastructures in the city, focusing on water-sensitive design and edible city development in a, of course, climate sensitive city development. But I warmly welcome and want to welcome Maria Wirth from Alchemia Nova, who will be our first speaker. And she will actually introduce the topic of nature-based solutions for a circular city on the case example of Vienna. So that will be our first topic. I'm very happy, Maria, that you are here and talk about that. And after Maria, I'm happy to welcome Shahanaz Jalil from southern India. You see it on the globe here. Shahanaz Jalil is in Kochi, and she will actually talk about risk prevention strategies in the context of the coastal regions. And working with blue-green infrastructure approaches there. And our third presentation will be also talk about an Indian, or actually it will be a more critical talk, I would say, from the slides I saw. It's a talk from Rajesh Kumar Vishwakarma, and he will present insights of missed opportunities in sustainable urban drainage strategies and sponge city approaches. So we are very happy also to hear about this kind of critical reflection. And then finally, we will fly over to South America and introduce our colleagues from Brazil and Mexico. And there we have topics from Anja, Paula Santos Barros, who will talk about devices for nutrient recycling from human urine. So that will be very interesting, especially to hear about how that can become implemented in the urban neighborhoods. And finally, Ana Zapata Morales will give us her flash talk on risk management concerning pharmaceuticals, and she will talk about constructed wetland systems in pharmaceutical risk management. Yeah, so that's actually our overview, and these, Angela and me, I have to switch back. 1 minute. How to, here, okay, sorry. Yeah, Angela and me, we were actually discussing, as we have only 1 hour time to discuss that you shortly introduce yourself when you start with your presentation. And after hearing all the presentations, we want to open up the panel discussion and talk about the citizen approach, the role of the citizen approach, and this in your project, maybe right now or in the future. So I would like to welcome Maria Wirth from Alchemia Nova from Vienna to start with your presentation.
Hello.
I have to.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I will share my screen.
Yes. And I also want to point out, Daniela Gomez, she said that if you share application window, oh, now it's working wonderful. You can click on share entire screen and then select the PowerPoint presentation and it works. So you have to go a little bit around, but Maria did it perfectly already.
Thank you. It's a PDF, so...
Oh, so that's another trick. Do a PDF. Okay, Maria, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me introduce myself first. So I work for Alchemia Nova. We are a research and consulting company in Vienna, Austria. And we develop nature-based solutions, so technologies for air filtration, water, wastewater treatment, and always with the objective of recovering resources, so for water reuse, nutrient recovery, and also other biomass. And we also work a lot on circular design of industrial processes, products, and other types of resource flows. Okay, then let me. Today I want to talk about the potential circular water and nutrient management in cities using nature-based solutions. So a little bit about the background of what I want to talk about. So basically, as some of you might know, cities are really centers of human and economic capacity, but also of consumption and waste, which makes them really, really important players in the transition to a circular economy. More than half of the global population lives in cities. They raise more than 80% of the global GDP, consume 75% of all the resources, of all the natural resources, and produce more than 50% of total waste. So basically, we have a major flow of resources from the environment into the city, where they are used or consumed and consequently wasted, and the value is consumed and lost. So one example is also for this happening is the food system, where basically here on the left of the slide, you can see the current linear system, where you have the production of inputs, so chemical fertilizer, for example. Then you have the growth stage, the cultivation of the production of the food, then processing, consumption, and then basically the discarding of wastewater and nutrients to the wastewater treatment plants. And then this is basically usually lost. And our vision is to create a circular food system where you have regenerative systems, where you produce the inputs from the waste, you collect them, then you grow your food, then you consume it, and then you discard it again to wastewater, but then you recover the nutrients again. And everything stays in a loop. So the different ways to do that, but the way we want to do that is using nature-based solutions. And we have an EU-funded project that is ongoing. Well, we have two that are focusing on this subject, but one is more in the rural areas, coastal areas actually. But one specifically looks at the urban context, where we are demonstrating the application of nature-based solutions to close water and nutrient cycles at a building scale. So we have a big apartment building with around 50 to 70 people that are there every day. And then we collect the wastewater. So actually we can, there are some images here. We have the consumers, so the people living in the building and using the building. Then we have a liquid solid separation stage, because we treat the liquid fraction of the wastewater in a constructed wetland, which you can see here in this picture at the bottom. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse because I'm pointing at it right now, but yeah. But it's pretty clear. This stacked system, which is very space efficient and can be integrated into the open space outside of the building. But also we've demonstrated it actually indoors in Vienna and on the rooftop in Spain. So yeah, in different settings in and around a building. Then the solid fraction that is separated from the wastewater is treated in a small-scale biogas plant, where you can see a schema here at the bottom again. And then finally, the effluent of the constructed wetland is used directly for fertigation of a greenhouse producing vegetables. And essentially what you can see here are the flows extrapolated to a city scale. So basically we're demonstrating what we can do at the building scale, but we also need to think about how this can be scaled and what that should look like and how we can do that. Because of course it requires, intuitively you think, okay, it requires a lot more space to use a constructed wetland instead of just collecting everything and treating it outside of the city. So the first step was to identify the resource potential. So here you can see the green arrows, which are the nutrient flows coming from the consumers to the separation step, then most of the nutrients, when I say nutrients, I mean nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus and potassium. Yeah, the majority goes to the constructed wetland. And from here, a lot is emitted into the constructed wetland biomass, the sediment, and also the atmosphere. And only a very small fraction of the effluent of the constructed wetland is needed to cover the entire vegetable production in Vienna. And you might think, okay, in a city you don't produce that many vegetables, so of course it's a very small flow that or a very small amount of nutrients that you might need. But actually, within the metropolitan borders of Vienna, we produce a third of all the vegetables that are consumed in the city as well. So yeah, so it's quite significant. Then this goes back to, is of course recovered as food, which goes back to the consumers. And you can see the large amount of excess that could be used for other agricultural production within or beyond the city to produce other food groups, but also to be used within for the production of industrial crops and for crops that are further processed in the bioeconomy. While the smaller, what I forgot to mention here, the way we are setting up our treatment system is that we also utilize the organic waste, so the kitchen waste that is produced in the building. And then this is combined with the solid fraction of the wastewater and then treated in the biogas plants, so the anaerobic digestion. And with this, we produce biogas to be used for cooking in the building, but could also be used for heating or at larger scales for electricity production. And the effluent of this, so the digestate, can then also be used as fertilizer.
2 minutes, Maria?
2 more minutes. Okay. Well, this is my last slide. So this is just to show where the nutrients are contained. So the blue bars here are the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium that is recovered as part of the constructed wetland effluent. So in the liquid fraction. And the brown is recovered in the biogas state, so the combination of solids and the kitchen waste. So you can see, basically what I want to say is that the potassium in the digestate comes entirely from the kitchen waste, so it's important to consider this when sourcing the nutrients from the waste flows. But basically what is also interesting here is that you can see that to cover the entire vegetable production in Vienna, you would have to connect only 96,500 people, so less than 100,000 people to supply the entire nutrients needed for the production of the specific vegetable groups that are produced in Vienna. And then 3 times that would supply the entire consumption of vegetables as well. So if you had the entire population of Vienna, you could really, we would have to assess that. That's the next step, but could probably could close the loop fully. And the model that we developed, which I can't explain in detail here, but it informs basically how to size the system and how to, it gives insights on the area needed for the constructed wetland, for other units, and then further how to integrate. Then you can use that to assess how to integrate that into the available urban environment. Because, for example, you can use the underutilized infrastructure in the city. In Vienna, there was a study done for the green roof potential. So this is something that you could then directly notice the area that you could use for such nature-based treatment systems. And the second important thing is that you gain knowledge on how to source your inputs and which inputs you need to match your specific crop nutrient requirements. So very briefly, thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Maria, and also for the good time keeping in your presentation. And I would suggest that we hear all the presentations first, and then later on we discuss, our questions. And so, in case there are any questions concerning understanding, I would like to hear if someone want to raise a question. Otherwise, we would go forward and hear now the presentation from Yalil from southern India about coastal risk management.
And while we're getting ready for this presentation, also to the presenters, please check the questions that are raised in the chat already. You maybe want to address them at the very end. And they don't get lost once they're in the chat, so you can always scroll down in the app to recall them later on.
Good afternoon. Can you see my slide?
Actually, no.
Can you?
No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So very good morning to all. I'm here to speak on the topic, an integrated blue-green-gray infrastructure solution for the sinking coastal regions in the context of Kochi. So the aim of the study is to develop urban design strategy for the sinking coastline of Kochi. And coming to the background, the global mean sea level is expected to rise between 0.29 meters and 1.1 meters by 2000, according to IPCC. And also, the lands home to 200 million people could fall permanently below the high tide line by 2100. And as per the first image, figure number 1, the Asian coastal cities are most vulnerable to sea level rise. And the average losses of world's largest coastal cities is estimated to rise to $52 billion per year by 2050. Coming to the context of Kerala, if you look at the second image, Kerala has over 19 urban agglomerations, and all of them are concentrated along the coastal stretch. And as per the coastal digital elevation model developed by Climate Central, the parts of Kochi, Thrissur, and Alleppey are projected to sink by 2050. This is going to have a huge impact on the state's economy, as Kochi is the financial hub of Kerala. If you look at figure number 3, much of Kochi, most part of Kochi lies at a sea level of 5 meters from the mean sea level. And coming to the figure number 4, it shows the the red patches shows the areas that are projected to sink due to sea level rise in 2050. And there are almost 13 such areas in Kochi, Chellanam being one among them. And towards the right, figure number 5, you see the overall settlement pattern of Chellanam. You can see the yellow patches are the residential neighborhoods, and also you'll find yellow patches along the coastal stretch. And this coastal edge communities and the mainland communities are actually separated by a large chunk of wetlands. So this is the overall context of Chellanam. Coming to the methodology of the study, I started with the research question: what are the solutions for low-lying geographic regions with high population density affected by sea level rise due to climate change? For this, I conducted primary and secondary level studies. In the primary study, I analyzed the urbanization pattern and population density distribution with respect to landform conditions and coastal vulnerability analysis. And based on this, the at-risk areas were delineated. And in order to understand the blue-green-gray infrastructure application, I conducted literature case studies. And based on this, I arrived at the components of blue-green-gray systems. And I used the urban design tools like land use, ecology, functions or activity, networks and infrastructure in order to analyze the existing condition of the blue-green-gray systems in Kochi. And based on this, I tried to arrive at a blue-green-gray solution, which is demonstrated in the context of Chellanam in Kochi. And coming to the case studies, literature case studies, I studied Delta Works in Netherlands, and sand mortar project in Netherlands. So delta work is basically consisting of a ring of dike system, which is hard gray infrastructure system in order to reduce the coastline in Netherlands, and this is actually going to control the amount of excess water that is going to come into the city. Whereas in sand mortar project, they had a nature-based solution approach. Here they tried to deposit offshore sand along the coastal area, and this in turn actually deposited a lot of dunes along the entire coast over a period of time using the energy of currents and waves in the area. So this acts is actually a coastal beach nourishment project. Next one is living shorelines in Netherlands. So here they tried to create artificial dunes over coastal reinforcement, and the entire dunes were actually vegetated in order to prevent coastal erosion. And next is the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project in New York City. So here the southern tip of Manhattan area, which is actually prone to floods, is actually has been actually converted into a system of blue-green systems, which where they utilize terraced berms and landscape solutions in order to accommodate the excess floodwaters. In addition to that, they also tried to provide community facilities in the area, which can function as recreational opportunities on a regular basis. At the same time, these areas will function as coastal flood management area. And last one is a sponge city concept in China, where they try to strengthen the existing blue-green systems of the city, which enabled more groundwater percolation during the event of heavy rains. So these were the case studies. Coming back to the context of Chellanam, it has a population of 14,928 people with over 3,446 households, and the region has been experiencing frequent coastal floods and coastal erosion during the monsoons, and this has been affecting over 700 families in the area. And recently, the construction of a fishing harbor in the southern side has caused erosion in the downdrift side. So this is actually eroding the entire coastline of Chellanam. And here, the local economy mainly relies on fishing, paddy, and prawn farming for the along the coastal wetlands. And the urban structure consists of coastal communities fragmented from the main spine by wetlands. So in the image in figure number 18, you can see the coastal disaster vulnerability map of Cochin, and the black circle shows the area of Chellanam. So it has a very high disaster vulnerability. So Chellanam has been declared as the highest sea erosion affected panchayat according to the Disaster Management Act of 2050. And in the figure 12, you can see the sea level elevation of the entire area. You can see yellow patches, which are the higher areas, which are separated from each other in between by a strip of wetlands. So this is the overall structure of Chellanam. And in the figure 16 and 17, you can see the extent of coastal water intrusion into the neighborhoods of Chellanam, where people are heavily affected. And coming to the issues in Chellanam, the main issue is actually the coastal erosion along the beach edge, and it has the entire settlement is highly prone to coastal disasters. And also certain areas along the water bodies are inland areas along the water bodies are also prone to riverine flooding. And one of the major issue in this area is that the entire settlement is actually segregated from the main area by wetlands. So there is a lack of connections. People are lacking enough connections to the mainland in order to allow easy escape during the event of disasters. So these are the main issues in Chellanam. And based on the study, I arrived at 5-point strategy for coastal inundation in Chellanam, based on the criteria of land use, ecology, functions, networks, and infrastructure. So in land use, there's a need for there is a need to provide medium to large open space network in the dense areas for easy evacuation. And also the public amenities like schools and clinics need to open out to open spaces in every neighborhood so that they can function as first line relief shelters during the event of coastal floods. And in terms of construction, they can adopt silted or floating construction for buildings in flood-prone areas. Coming to the ecological aspect, the main idea is to restore the existing blue-green systems with riparian habitats, constructed wetlands to function as sponges in order to improve resilience. The vegetated sand dunes need to be developed along the coastal edge to form a new protective barrier for the fisherman community. Regarding the functional aspect, the nature-based solutions offer more recreational opportunities. Like, for example, an extended beach through beach nourishment project can act as a recreational edge for the entire city. In addition to that, the aquaculture parks in flood-prone areas of the city and can also allow other source of traditional farming activities. And regarding the networks, the entire area is actually having poor interconnection between the coastal communities and the mainland area. So there is a need for a road system and also to incorporate pedestrian routes along the open space systems to enable easy escape routes. And regarding the infrastructure, the main idea is to provide sub-fire stations within 3 to 4 kilometers radius and main fire stations within 5 to 7 kilometers radius. So this is according to URDPFI guidelines. In addition to that, the entire wetland area should be edged with landscape berms to improve the drainage of the area. And also there's a need to provide coastal reinforcement for the dune development. So based on these strategies, I developed structure plan at macro scale and micro scale. So in the larger macro scale, that is figure number 20, the storm surge barriers or floodgates are proposed at strategic points in Kochi in order to control the riverine and coastal floods. And also the entire coastal edge of Kochi has been proposed to develop a beach nourishment project. And also the existing blue-green systems within the city area, that is the waters, rivers, lakes, backwaters, etc., needs to be conserved for the in order to reduce the risks in future. And also the existing institutions in the city has been identified which can function as relief shelters in the main city area, so that during the event of flood, people along the coastal edges can be moved into the main city areas easily. So these are the proposals at macro level. Coming to micro level, there is a need for strengthening the existing cross connections into the city area. And also new routes are also being proposed in order to reduce the effect of hazards and vulnerability. And again, the red lines show the new pedestrian bridges that connect the entire area. And also in Chellanam, there is a specific need to have a beach nourishment project which will function as an active recreational beachfront. And also the entire beach edge has to be developed with vegetated dunes in order to stabilize the coastal edge. And for the wetland area, the entire wetland edges have been proposed to develop landscape berms in order to restore the wetlands as well as to improve the drainage in the area. And also along the coastal edge, the system of open space network has been proposed. And also the local fire and rescue officers have been identified at the main areas, which are the pink circles. So these are the micro level strategies that has been identified. And coming to the conclusion, the current hard shorelines in Kochi have proven to be ineffective during the climate extremes, putting the communities in danger. The nature-based blue-green-gray adaptation measures in Kochi is expected to enable coastal resiliency by creating safer coastlines with reinforced dunes and wetland restoration. This is going to restore the lost biodiversity and habitats that add to the natural assets to promote local livelihoods and tourism. The new connections shall allow continuity to the mainland area, and this model can be adopted to the similar vulnerable patches in Kochi as well as in other districts in Kerala facing similar risks. So that is the conclusion.
Thanks a lot, Shahnaz. Jalil.
Thank you.
I think it's really interesting hearing about the your proposals or recommendations to adapt to this situation. It will be, I think, really interesting to hear about your strategies concerning citizen-driven change and involvement in this process. I can imagine that we discuss it later.
Okay.
How you tackle these issues together with the city.
Yeah.
For the next one, our next speaker will be Rajesh Kumar Vishwakarma, and now we fly to northern India, and we want to hear about missed opportunities of sustainable drainage systems in northern India. So Rajesh Kumar, if you can introduce yourself shortly and show us your presentation, and we are very happy. I hope Rajesh is in here in the room, because before Rajesh, it doesn't seem like he is here. No, he is here. Rajesh?
Yeah. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible to all of you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, my name is Rajesh Kumar Vishwakarma, and I'm currently pursuing the PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India. So, I shared my topic with you. Is this one? Yeah.
You can screen share. Do you find the screen sharing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think the easiest is, yeah, that's nice. Okay, we can see it.
So, my topic is the missed opportunity in Indian cities. Case example of the Dwarka, India. So let us know about the some topography of the Dwarka. So it's generally lies in the capital of India, New Delhi. So to cater to increasing population, the new township and residential colonies are being developed. So Dwarka is one such colony being developed for such purposes. So as seen from the map, located on the this periphery of the Delhi, this is Delhi, and this is Dwarka, the tail piece of the Delhi. Dwarka lies in the tail end of the water supply. So absence of the adequate water supply result in exploitation of groundwater. Besides, Dwarka also suffers from flooding. So the main drain which passes through this Dwarka is the Najafgarh drain. Here you can see this is Najafgarh drain. This one, the main drain is Najafgarh drain, which passes through the Dwarka. So the Najafgarh drain has its origin in the west of Delhi at Najafgarh depressions and covers a length of 51 kilometers, entering the river Yamuna. So we are entering the river Yamuna. After traveling through rural areas, Dwarka subcity is the first urban area encountered by the drains, where untreated sewage and storm water enters through Palam drain into Najafgarh drain. So the topography and drainage in the Dwarka subcity, like this, the subcity is low-lying, gently sloping towards the Najafgarh drain. Gently sloping towards the Najafgarh drain. In the subcity area, the 5 outfall drains are connected through a peripheral drainage system to the Najafgarh drain, which finally go to the river Yamuna. So this is the catchment analysis. So the main background regarding this to identify and analyze the issues and challenges of water management in the India's capital, New Delhi. It is pertinent to note that the population of Delhi has been projected to cross 20 billion by 2021. Housing projects such as Dwarka were in early 1990s to accommodate approximately 1 million people. However, the master plan makes no distinction between semi-urban, peri-urban areas and areas in transitions, such as Dwarka subcity. Hence, there are no specific norms or recommendations for these areas, resulting in a wide demand-supply gap. So the main objective of this case study is to provide sustainable solution by showcasing intervention with regard to planning current Indian urban areas. So here is the Dwarka area, and it is divided 5 train drains: TD1, TD2, TD3, TD4, and on the basis of their type of category like institutional and this commercial and the park and all the things. So what are the percentage of the built up areas, the open vegetative, the perviousness, and the other things. So here we have find the 5 trunk drains: TD1, TD2, TD3, TD4, TD5, and find out the total discharge capacity then the area, then what are the total discharge passing through this, and what is the percentage discharge increase due to the flooding. So, here we have the this is the case study Dwarka, in which we designed the watershed analysis, in which the first we did the site characteristics for the potential areas. Then, on the basis of this, we have determined the additional runoff discharge and volume in peak hour for 25-year storm period. And on the basis of this, we designed a matrix for sustainable urban drainage system strategies. On the basis of strategies, we design the things. So, we have, on the basis of available area and the topography of the things, we have provide, just like the example for the TD3, drain for the 3, the column drain, we have provide the bioretentions, the pond 1, pond 2, swales, retention basin, and this on the basis of area availability and the depth and volume. And the last one is, so by providing the things for this Dwarka, the total potential of low-lying areas of sites is by construction of the number of ponds in the area to increase the capacity, which is not more than 0.6 meter, and the construction of the inflows and outflow gates with less water movement and collections, and the total water collection by direct precipitation and by number of ponds in 6 MCM, and this 6 MCM water shall be used by bulk usage of Dwarka. So here also we use some things for the horticulture purposes, and we have find the overall runoff coefficient is 0.62 to 0.4. So if strategies for only reduction of overall runoff coefficient are applied, then 22% of reduction in peak discharge achieved. And after that, if retention strategies for effective drainage system applied for 5 to 10% of public open space, then 100% of exceeding peak discharge is reduced. So the potential green spaces which we observed in that particular area, for that we have divided, we have put up the things in this, and these are the things. So if any question is there. Hello.
Hello. Yes. Yeah. You already finished, or do
No.
Another question? Yeah, you have 3 minutes. Okay, that's fine. It's totally fine. We don't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible to you? Yes.
Now we hear you.
Yeah, I think Rajesh is really hard to understand. I think the connection is not very good. So I advise everybody to maybe also check out the book of abstract where Rajesh has placed a short description of his research.
Yes. I agreed with that, because there is a only short of the slides, only 3 to 4 slides. So I don't know how to put all the things within the 4 slides. So that's why I'm not able to connect all the things in this, all data. So sorry for this inconvenience.
But thank you very much, Rajesh, for your insights in put in sustainable urban drainage strategies. I didn't really get what if these strategies are missed strategies, or if these strategies are strategies which are going to become implemented. For example, the flood water harvesting strategy. Can you just say 1 sentence or 2 sentences, as we have 1 minute left in your presentation?
So the question is not, I'm saying about this India, through the world. In the last few decades, the world has witnessed the rapid urbanization. So one of the complex problems which has come up with the increased urbanization is the quickly drainage of the stormwater from the inhabited areas. So which may threaten the urban settlement in different ways. So there is a need to install all these things. So India is a very large population and unurbanized plan. So there is a need to install all the things because of the water scarcity and the encroachment of the drainage systems and all the things. And we have not only separate sewer, we have the combined sewer system to generate this stormwater and wastewater. So they need to design all the things to from starting from the conveyance system to the disposal of the stormwater in the particular stream.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. As we have only 15 minutes, it's really hard, I think, to only have 1 hour with this broad range of topics to discuss. So I want to actually welcome Ana Paula Santos Barros from Brazil, and she now gives a flash talk, which means 3 minutes, on her topic of collecting or recovering nutrients from human urine. So Anna, I warmly welcome you to start with your poster flash talk.
And Rajesh, can you stop sharing your screen?
Oh.
So now, Anna, it should work when you share your screen. Anna, are you there? Are you on board? I have to check in the list. If you are not here, I don't see you. I would like to welcome the second Anna, Ana Laura Zapata Morales from Mexico. Anna, you also want to give a flash talk on your topic, which is on pharmaceutical risk management, working with constructed wetlands. So we are really keen on hearing about your insights from your research with this natural-based systems. Can you share your screen, Ana Laura Zapata?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
I don't know. Can see you my presentation?
No, not yet.
Otherwise, I can try. Actually, I have your presentation, so I try to share my screen. If that would work, what do you? You have it. That's nice. We can see it.
Yes. No.
Yeah, we can see it. Maybe you can enlarge a little bit. Yeah. I mean, it's not really large, but it works.
Super.
Super. You can start, actually, Anna.
Yeah. Can you listen?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think the quality is really bad. Can you try again? We don't hear you. Try again. Anna?
Now?
Now we hear you, but we don't see your presentation.
Can you listen?
Yeah. So now start, please. So we have.
My name is Anja. I represent the Minister
Anna, we see clearly your image, but we cannot understand your saying. Maybe we just you can, in a nutshell, talk without having slides, because maybe that works better. No, it's not working. If not, I would say you still could use the poster presentation booth to have a look at the presentations of the colleagues from Mexico and Brazil. And we can use the last 10 minutes to maybe also pose questions, discuss aspects, and especially as at least from our side, there have been a discussion going on several questions in the chat already. Thanks for that. But nevertheless, we would like to raise the question whether or what strategic role citizens could have in the development, implementation, management, use of these design-build solutions, nature-based solutions, and even design guidelines, urban design guidelines that were presented here in this session. So that would be my question to you all. Nevertheless, if you have single questions to any of the presenters, feel free to put them forward. We have 10 more minutes to discuss them, and I would be happy to use the time for that. Any questions? Or any answers to the role of citizens? Where can they be drivers, but maybe also hinderers of some of these implementations we're searching for, we're developing?
Maybe the speakers can start from their insights. If there are no questions from the audience, maybe Maria, you talked about Vienna, and I mean, it was very practical what you showed us, and I would be curious what is the resonance from the locals, so to speak, and what you envision, what Angela meant, how could citizens become part of this process, of this change process. Unmute, please, your microphone.
Yeah, now it should work. Yeah, so we are experiencing citizens definitely both as drivers and as hinderers. I mean, so where we set up, where we are setting up our demonstration site, this is very much citizen driven because we are working with a community that has sort of a shared asset pool with which they are, willing to invest in kind of this quite innovative wastewater treatment system. And this is, I think, not yet something that can be widely replicated because you really need a high level of interest and willingness to pay more for such a thing that is not yet widely tested. We don't have any norms for these particular technologies yet, or at least the norms that we have that apply are a bit outdated. Yeah, so both drivers and hinderers, because we basically the citizens that we are working with have this high level of interest and are willing to pay for this, so they are really driving it forward, whereas maybe the wastewater utility in the area would not yet be ready to apply that, or a city government. But yeah, we need to do a lot of awareness raising. I think for more larger scale replication, we have to work with the cities mainly because they are simply responsible for the functioning of the infrastructure. So, and they are also the ones who are willing to pay for sustainability, whereas citizens are not usually willing to pay for this. For example, especially if you look at wastewater, because this is kind of considered free. Yeah, but we, I mean, if we're working with nature-based solutions, we definitely have to involve citizens and look more into what the role could be of the different institutions and the citizens, because nature-based solutions work really well in decentralized settings. So if you have distributed wastewater management and resource recovery in a city, which means that the management becomes very more complex and different, but also the benefits are much more local, so the citizens benefit more. But yeah, basically it's really a complex and remaining question. We have a new project that will start soon that will look more into that, and we're also working with some cities, and hopefully we can get some more concrete answers of what the different roles should be.
So what do our colleagues from India say? Big design guidelines, strategies like sponge cities. How much do they need the citizens in that concept for their implementations? Could there be a driver where politics and planning processes are not working too well or not? What's your impression, Shana? Shanas? You have to turn on your mic. Yeah.
Okay, hi. So in the context of Kerala, what happens is that there are local government institutions and they try to implement the traditional hard grey infrastructure. For example, they try to come up with solutions like building sea walls or putting geotextiles along the coastal area. But that is actually, it has proven to be ineffective. So there is a need, there is a lack of understanding of solutions at the government level. And also the local people are also requesting for the construction of sea walls and sea breakers, etc., expecting that these grey solutions will solve the issue. But there is a lack of understanding of the clear solutions to these issues at government level institutions. And the only option with the local people is to protest against the lack of solutions to these kind of issues. Even people are clueless regarding what kind of solutions has to be implemented in such situations.
Are there any examples actually where you would say, okay, that's a success in cooperating between the local and the governmental level? Do you have an example in your area where you would actually create as a partnership approach or network?
Yeah, people at the government level, they try to introduce geotextiles and sandbags along the coastal edge. So the locals were also part of it and trying to gather the sandbags and try to build the edges of the eroding coastline. So they are part of it, but the only issue is that they don't know the right solution to it. They are under the expectation that these kind of sea breakers or geotextile sandbags will solve the issue. So that is the main drawback I found in the site context.
And do you see actually, how to say, open doors for your research to become part of this process and maybe?
Yeah, I'm thinking of submitting it to the local government institutions so that they can look into the wide range of options that are possible in such situations. And apart from that, budget is also an issue in our situation. They look for low cost solutions, and with that in mind, they try to come up with hard gray infrastructure solutions along the coastline.
We still have time for one more question, maybe also from the audience or comment. What's your opinion on this? What are you taking home with you from this session? Do we have to unmute people to ask?
I can try. I can try. Mute. So actually, there was a question earlier before. I think it was raised in the chat, and it was concerning the qualities and the hygienic standards. I think when I remember right, food safety standards and so on. So maybe this, who was it? Nigiet Tran raised the question.
Yeah, I think I gave Loy Rigo. Yes, he can speak, or she.
Where are you?
Loy? Yes, you can speak. Try.
They don't hear. You can't hear, sorry. That's too bad. Angela, you have to unmute also.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. No, all I was asking is that how do we build resilience to both climate change and the threat of disasters at the local level? And how do we recognize the differential capacity that we need in different locations? So for example, I share time between Egypt and India, and these are huge countries as a whole. But when you come into each of the particular localities also, you need to understand the specificities, and you need to understand the available institutions and how we can build actions, coalitions of actions, as well as local and subnational actions. So any thoughts on any of this?
Yes, thank you for your question. I think that's indeed a big question you're asking at the end, where we have no time left to really discuss it truly. To me, when I saw these presentations today, and I also looked at the posters, I feel that a lot of these approaches try to be exactly that, to be locally. Maybe gain knowledge from global examples and the global state of art, but nevertheless try to be as much as possibly locally based. And to me, what I learned especially is maybe also to shed light on the two examples we have not heard today that came from Mexico and Brazil, is that I have the feeling that technology is developed. It's ready to go. To be implemented widely in different local contexts, and also design guidelines, etc. They have been developed, but we still have this implementation gap. It's maybe because when we do develop as planners, designers, engineers, these solutions, we are still too much detached from the implementation world. And maybe we need a lot more to have, while we produce our knowledge, our technology, and our design concepts from the beginning, take politicians, take decision makers, and take citizens along. So basically open up our wetlands and greenlands and pilot projects, which we sometimes have, to the public to give them insights. At least it surprised us when we did that in Berlin. We had so much interest. We never expected to have this interest. So, but I think we need to simply get out of our ivory towers of research and technology development and be much closer to the people that we want that they implement and use our technology. So I think that's the next step. We still have to find out the best ways to do that. Yeah. It's just one answer to a big question you're raising.
No, and maybe I'll respond very quickly. Actually, look at the actors at the local level and build coalitions with them. In fact, it's the reverse. Serve them and support them and sustain them well after any projects that they may develop, and learn from them. And I don't mean only work at the local level, because we will have to work at multiple levels. So it's local, it is regional, it is national, it is regional, and it is global. So let us take action and derive stimulus from the local level, but also support the local level, and at a wide scale. These are some of my stray thoughts for now. I can participate more actively if there is some particular written response, and I can react to it.
Yeah, it sounds very convincing, Rigo. And I think we should also use the chance to work with, I mean, it's a new buzzword almost, but to work with real labs. It means actually to bring your research to the places where it is needed. And then use the chance, like you said, to connect with these local actors, take them for serious, learn from their insights and integrate them into the actual research. At least that's actually the approach we do in urban design and planning, or try to foster this approach. I would strongly agree on what you said, that the time is there, you know, and it's we have to start with this kind of approaches.
Well, thank you to everybody who joined this session, who presented their research and work here. And thank you for the lively discussion in the chat. And we're looking forward to, I don't know, to get together again to keep on discussing this very serious questions and to maybe see us in one conference in real time. Okay, thank you. I think we have to move on, right?